she always wanted to be a vampire hunter like her bros, but she can't because she's a girl.
Her grandfather wakes her up in the middle of the night because he believes in her. Like we said, a woke feminist king, grandpa, and mom and dad are like, I can't believe he has been training you behind our backs. You should be in the kitchen cleaning and getting married. And she's like, but I'm really strong. And they're like, we don't believe in you, but we love you though, but we don't believe in you. And she's like, wow, gender roles are bad. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Unresolved Textual Tension. It's me, your host, Valerie, and with me today is some guy found on the internet, Will.
She found me, she decided to get on my podcast and try to get some clout from me. And unfortunately, I'm letting her because she's a little funny. The book we're doing today is A Cruel Thirst by Angela Montoya. A True Thirst by Angela Montoya. So, to give a little background, I am Hispanic. Some of you don't know that, even though I am darkly good looking and rugged. But, and you know, I really like to see representation of my people, but often we read fantasy books and there's just not a lot of Hispanic fantasy books. And we've read two on the channel. We read Vampires del Norte and Mexican Gothic, both of which were terrible. And so I decided, hey, let's round out this trilogy. Let's round out this Hispanic exploration of YA and new adult fantasy with a third terrible book. And this is the second one about vampires. Okay, Val, what is this book about?
This book is about, God, what is it about? It's just the most basic, tropey insta-love story ever. It's barely about vampires. Like, it's just like...
The amount that the inherent horniness of vampires is underutilized in this book.
It's so underutilized.
Shocking. It's
like, I love vampires. If you've watched, you know, our Serpent and the Wings of Night review, like, I clowned on that book a lot, but I had a hee-hee good time. And I was hoping at least I would have a hee-hee good time with this book, right? I would I'd get like a, you know, I know it's YA, but just a little horny vampire stuff. But like, this book is so just flaccid. There's just nothing. It's like, oh.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna be controversial. And let me just state beforehand, I am not a Twilight revisionist. I am not somebody who's like, well, actually, people were pretty mean to her. No, those books are terrible. Twilight is a better vampire book than this is a vampire book. It engages more with the inherent horniness of vampires than this book does. The main character in this one is, I guess I have to give a little bit of the summary because I told her to do it and she didn't do it. But
I don't know how.
There's two houses alike in dignity that this book starts with. The main character is called Lina, or Carolina. She is a vampire hunter from a vampire hunter club, but guess what? She wears pants even though her dad doesn't want her to fight. But her grandpa was a woke king who taught her anyway. And then you have Lalo, who is a dork who gets infected by vampires, and it goes towards Carolina's like place to try and get rid of the curse before he turns into a vampire.
That is,
and so many times this book could have just been about him having a cold. Like, so much of this book is just him kind of feeling a little poorly, and it has nothing to do with the actual temptation and taboo and parasitism that is inherent in the vampire as a figure of dread and sensuality.
It cracked me up when you said that, because he really is like, he's barely affected by his vampirism. Like, he's like an Edward Cullen vegan vampire, like he eats rabbits and stuff. But like, and like they tell us, the author tells us, like, you know, your organs are gonna start eating you from the inside. But he's just like gets a little like pallid. like I could use a snack, you guys.
God, it's, you know, it's funny because again, when I saw this book, and the way I found it is that I saw an interview with the author, with Jenna Moresi, who, if you know the lore of this channel, you know who that is, and if you don't, God bless. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. We have the perfect representation for this. I'm Hispanic. I bring one half. Val is a horny vampire girly. She brings the other half. The thing about vampires is, like I was saying earlier, they have certain inherent themes to them. This is not to say that you can't use them in different ways, but there are certain things that are inherent to the question of them. In the same way that like a detective novel has to hit certain plot beats or it will be unfulfilling. A romance has to hit certain plot beats or it will be unfulfilling. Or even a romance book tells its themes through its romance. A vampire story has to kind of hit certain notes or at least engage with certain things about being a vampire. So for example, Twilight is, and again, I am not a revisionist, but the vampirism there is very clearly a metaphor for young women's sexuality with men. They feel like men have an inherently predatory sexuality, and so it's really cool that Cullen, holds back on that for Bella. And in the culminating moment, he would have sex with her, drink her blood, but he's able to control himself not to do it more.
It begs the very simple question: what if the vampires had Mormon guilt?
But like really, even going back to like Nosferatu, the original Dracula, those vampires are a stand-in for sexuality, and again, it's the Morbid Zoo, which is a video essay channel, did a really excellent video on Sinners, which is a recent vampire movie.
That's a really good video.
Yeah, it's really good. Where she talks about how vampires are inherently parasitic because they have to be. That's one of the themes. This book engages not with the parasitism, engages not with the temptation and the taboo, and it does not engage with vampires as a sexual anything.
And can I just say, we haven't mentioned this yet, but this book is, I was wondering for a minute if it was going to be like a sort of Mexican-coded otherworld fantasy, right? That's what I thought at first. But then they mention it takes place in California, you guys. This takes place in California in like the 1850s approximately. There's some like fantasy elements to it. I don't think the towns that they mention ever actually existed. However, this would be a very great setting to explore the parasitic nature of colonialism. Like it would be so easy. Like it's looking you right in the face, and instead she just takes like Aztec lore, plops it in like there would be different native lore in this area. God. This is
essentially an alt history, but with no actual work done to fix it, to do it. Like at a certain point, they keep mentioning, because there's epistolaries at the beginning of each chapter, there's this friar running around talking about the gods, and you're like, what? Is this like an Aztec friar? At a certain point, one of the characters starts playing with what are very clearly rosary beads, but they mention that she's always been devoted to the gods. They keep using the cielo, which is the sky, as a shorthand for heaven, and I'm like, what are we doing? What is this?
They replaced like Spanish missions in California with like Aztec churches, like Christian coded Aztec churches. It's real weird.
It's wild. It's wild. I believe the line we used was that it's basically like Aztec Sunday school.
Aztec Sunday school.
Aztec Sunday School is accurate. It's such a weird decision on the part of the author. And the thing is, it's also kind of inherently disrespectful. You can't really talk about Latin America without talking about colonialism and Catholicism. And you can't really have one culture that decided to impose its religion with blood and all this awful colonialism on another and just be like, well, maybe they were kind of, let's just ignore that part. This inherent divide in a colonial culture. It's bizarre.
I just don't understand why she chose to make it take place in California, because she could have just make it take place in like Mexico or like where like make it make sense. Make it make sense. Because like there's other like author grew up in California. I really do think she was just kind of pulling from like her fourth grade publics. I don't know her. Maybe she knows more than I'm giving her credit for.
That feels correct after having read this.
It just feels like she's like, oh, I grew up in California. I know this area. How fun would it be to use this? And I'm like, okay, but like around Monterey, which is where she mentions, like there's different, there's like Ohlone, like there's different tribes there. This doesn't. What are you doing? Why?
Yes. So the vampirism in this is caused by Tehuani, which is a Aztec god of the dead. Aztecs are one city-state by where Mexico City is. You have to go all the way up to California to get to where this book takes place. Why are they worshiping an Aztec god up there? And it contributes to this kind of like the stereotype of all Native Americans kind of being the same. Like they are like it's really different, and it's not something that can just be transposed over there. So again, I don't know why she specifically had to make this a time and place and an alt history essentially. Especially because her world building details are not good. This is not a grounded feeling world.
Yeah, because when I first started this, I like messaged you and I was like, "Do you know if this is Otherworld or if it's historical, if it takes place somewhere?" And then I was like, "Well, it takes place in California." It's just, I was so flabbergasted. Like I was just, why? Like
it's
use it right if you're gonna it. Anyway, I could scream about this forever.
Okay, yeah. So, but those are. And before we launch into more criticism of this book, which there will be much, this book is not as bad as other books we've read, but I think by not being as bad, it kind of hides the fact that it's not at all good. Like I was like, nothing really happens in the last third, but because nothing absolutely horrendous is happening, you kind of just go like, oh, okay. You kind of go with it.
The other thing that I said was that like, I'm going to probably compare this to the Savior's Champion a lot because it kind of has a lot of the same issues. However, unlike Jenna, this author knows what she's doing. Like, she's doing what she's doing on purpose. Like, she doesn't think that she's writing, like, an epic romance. Like, she knows she's writing a tropey insta-love thing, and she does think she's funnier than she is, but sometimes she's a little funny. Like, there's a couple charming moments.
There are a couple of moments. There are times when you can kind of see what she's grasping at, but then most of the time she's really just like a millennial fanfic Joss Whedon impersonator. And like the banter especially is extremely bad. It's the thing where the main characters turn into banter demons around each other. And you're
we'll get to it like in like the third and fourth chapter because I have some words about it. But like the thing about me is when I'm reading a book, I try really hard to like calibrate myself with like where the author is looking at me. Like I try to like get on their eye level. Like I don't want to judge this book for something that it's not trying to be. So like in that sense, I like this book kind of held me hostage because I was like, I see what you're doing and you're doing what you want to be doing, but it still kind of sucks. Like,
still terrible.
It's boring is the thing. There's so many missed opportunities. And like with like the Savior's Champion, like the characters are just sort of like flat nothings with a couple of traits written on them that she forcibly moves through the plot in ways that like, it's just very rigid and structured, and she doesn't let the characters speak for themselves, like, at all. It's just...
From what I understand, the author is a fan of Moressi's, because she says that in the interview, and it shows, because it has a lot of the problems of, like, Moressi's writing, like you said, and the method she advocates, which is, like, heavy plotting. There are parts of this book that were clearly, like, temp dialogue she just left in.
I'll read that one later, because it was so... Like, I was like... This author tells so much. She tells, it's like criminal how much she like tells us. Like there's no real chemistry between the characters. She has to say, and then they touched and his heart lit a flame. Like that's the only thing that we get like from their relation. That's the only way we know that they like each other because they're so hot. And when they touch, what is this feeling? It's nothing.
I'm not crazy. It's weird that they're so focused and authors are so focused on characters' appearances. Like I literally thought we were in an age where it was understood that like you should not glamorize people's appearance above everything else. Like is this a new thing? Are authors just allowed to do this as a transplant for character?
It feels like she was almost trying to nod at like the insta-love trope, but it's like just stupid because it makes me think like when we'll get to it, but I'm just going to mention it really briefly. Like when like they meet for the first time, she's like overcome with how hot she is. And if that guy was ugly, she probably would have just killed him and the story would have been over.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Okay. All right. So the story starts way too fast. And this is one of the ways that you can tell this author plotted everything out, but then didn't actually go into fit in like atmosphere and character.
I have huge problems with the first two chapters. Lalo comes up with the worst revenge plan of all time. Mr. Bookworm himself, Mr. Inside, Mr. like, you know, like sort of like reserved. He likes reading.
Soft boy.
Yes. But his and his sister's parents were killed a year ago by a vampire. No one believed them when they were like, there was a vampire. And they're like, haha, you guys are crazy. So he's been researching vampires obsessively. And he's like, well, I heard a little rumor at a cantina or whatever. And I'm going to go track down this lady and kill her. And he doesn't have a plan. The kid doesn't have a plan. He just walks into this evil vampire den with no plan.
The book starts with him walking in, immediately does an info dump on how vampires are created, and then he just tries to enact this plan. And halfway through, he's like, "Oh, this isn't gonna work." And of course, it's fucking not gonna work. You're not a fighting dude. What was this? And it's a complete I'd say it's a complete betrayal of his character, but she hasn't even set up his character enough. But this makes no sense with how he does anything else throughout the book that he thought this was the plan.
The first 2 chapters for both of our perspective characters don't make any sense because it sets up this character, and then we ignore that character that we set up. Mm-hmm. It's just tragic backstory, but you don't get any of their personality through it, and they change. It's like, who are you? But this guy is I can't. Continue. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. No. First of all, I just also need to note, and I'm sorry to any of you out there named that, I hate Lalo as a nickname. I just do. It's his full name's Eduardo.
Oh, and I'd like to apologize in advance for my pronunciations of everyone's name. I'm gonna not say Carolina and Lalo. I'm gonna do my best, but
I will preemptively pardon you so long as you do not say the words Latinx. If you say that, you're off the podcast. This has been my rule for the last 2 books. You can't use that word here.
I wasn't planning on it.
Okay, good. You better not. Okay, Lalo is going through, and also I apologize, guys, if I randomly say a Spanish word with way too much Spanishness. There's a part in this book where they were going home and making tortillas. And I'm like, it's a tortilla. Do you notice that the audiobook narrator uses more accents for characters who aren't the main 2? Her mom and dad have thicker accents, and I don't understand why. It's really funny.
It's just it doesn't make sense because we were talking about all of these characters would be speaking in Spanish all the time.
Yes.
So this thicker accent thing for older generations doesn't really track at all.
Yeah, we'll talk about how annoying parts of that is. But Lalo is going in. He's going to take this cantina by storm. He's been researching all about these gods and has decided to come kill. Again, it makes no sense. You have no sense of atmosphere or why he loves his parents or how he's sad or anything.
And the chapter starts with, I'm going to show all of them. And then, like you said, a few pages later, he's like, well, I don't know what I thought was going to happen. I don't know what I'm doing. It's all right, buddy. It
really is that he just immediately backs out. And again, it doesn't make sense. He's not rash in that way at any other point in the novel. So he goes in and there's a hot vampire lady and she's like, oh, mother wants you. And he's like, that's weird. And then she sends him to the back of the club. And there he immediately fails at killing a vampire called Marcela. Or Maricela? No, it's Marcela, right?
I think there's an I in there somewhere.
Maricela.
Marcela?
Probably just going to call her Marcela. Let's just call her Marcela. Who is like, you're a loser, and she bites him.
He recognizes her as the one that chomped his parents a while ago. He's like, I'm gonna kill you for revenge, and she's like, haha, fat chance. And then she chomps him. She's like, I'm gonna torture you. Locks him in a room. She's like, you're so hungry, I'm not gonna let you eat food, little vampire. And then it's not really explained how, but eventually he escapes and goes on a killing rampage for everyone in the den. But don't worry, guys, they were all bad people. Everyone there was evil and bad. And we get a little vampire lore that not only do they suck blood, they also suck years off your life and memories. They don't steal your memories, but you have their memories in you when you suck their
Giver
blood.
style. Yeah. If you're like, oh, that's really interesting, I'm sure that'll come into play in an interesting way in the narrative or halfway through, Val texted me. I was like, "This had better come into play," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure it will in an interesting way." Again, what does this have to say about temptation, taboo, vampirism, any of those things.
She dances around all these themes and she like skirts the edge of a couple things, but most of them aren't really related to the vampirism. It's more just like family and love and stuff. I'm like, why is this a vampire book?
This is so stupid. And I'll tell you why this opening is dumb, because later the big theme of this book is how far would you go for the ones you love? Like, what would you do to bring them back? So, and we're told throughout that Lalo's only motivation is he needs to protect his sister, the sassy gay woman.
God,
he needs
don't
to
talk.
protect her.
I gotta talk. So
we'll get there in a minute. We'll get there in a minute. But
okay,
we'll get there in a minute. That's the other representation you bring. But like, why was he then willing to risk his life in a failed attempt to kill a vampire for revenge? His thing isn't revenge. His thing is protecting his sister. So why did he do this stupid thing?
That's what I was wondering too. Like, you would just want to live with your sister, and like he was thinking is like, oh, this is stupid. I'm gonna leave Fernanda like all on her own, and like. This man has shown time and time again that he like isn't really the type of person, or like later we see he's not the kind of person who would do this. He would just want to protect his sister. Frankly, they should have left town and started a new life a long time ago. Like, it just like
it would make so much more sense if he had just left his research out and Fernanda, his sister, had been like, "Oh, awesome! I know where they are. I'm gonna go kill him now." And he was like, "Oh man, I fucked up." Like,
that would make sense. What if like she was planning like a revenge thing? He's like, "No, I'll take care of it." And that would have made so much more sense because. As like, you know, after he goes on his killing spree, he stumbles out, he goes home, and we meet Fernanda for the first time. And she is exactly the same as if you've read The Savior's Champion. She is exactly the same as Tobias's sister. Like, like all she is like a banter machine and an exposition machine. Because like one of her core personality traits is that she doesn't listen when Lalo talks about his vampire research. So he's like, don't you remember when I told you vampires blah 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 blah? Yeah. And she's like, but can you fly and turn into a bear? And he's like, no, didn't you listen? And it's like, I see what you're doing here. It's not subtle. And like she reacts so strangely to the tone of this book up to this point, because like it was like revenge, sadness, and she's just like, you're a vampire? Holy shit. And it's like funny. It's supposed to be funny. And I'm just like, why is she not upset that her why is she acting this way?
Why is she acting that way? Why does she shows care, I think, one time in the novel. The thing is, she's an annoying bundle of like four stereotypes of like the sassy gay best friend, the sassy black best friend, and also the magic pixie dream girl, but like sister style. Like all those are wrapped together in the most annoying package.
This book does siblings like in a way that irritates me. Like they're always like brother, sister. Like I hate it when like talk normal. Don't call brother. Blah, 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 blah. Who says that? And you just we're told all of the relationships in this book. There's a real telling problem. Ugh,
it's real bad. Okay, all right, but so he fails, and at some point he kills everybody in the cantina and comes back to his sister and is like, we got to get out of here. She has my memories. She knows where I am. And his sister's like, and they decide, literally, it's like, it really is so weird.
It really is. It's so weird.
And they decide to go to, I was going to say Palo Alto. It's not Palo Alto.
Del Oro.
Del Oro, I don't know, wherever the vampire hunter family is, and they're going to set out.
It's like a couple miles inland of Monterey.
Yes, and he's gonna find the first vampire and figure out how to get this off of him because he cares about his sister. Okay, now we switch to Carolina, who is sneaking out at night. She is part of a vampire killing family, the Fuentes, and
also the mayor's daughter.
Right. And so she always wanted to be a vampire hunter like her bros, but she can't because she's a girl. It's not going to be explored more than that. But
her grandfather wakes her up in the middle of the night because he believes in her. Like we said, a woke feminist king, grandpa. Like, great job. And he's like, I got you a present. And it's a lasso. And she's like, how am I going to kill vampires with a lasso? And she's like, I want a pistol. And he's like, it's not the weapon. It's the person who wields the weapon. And she's like, still would have been better to have a gun, right? Anyway, and then like a surprise, guys, vampires attack. Grandpa gets killed. and mom and dad are like, I can't believe he's been training you behind our backs. You should be in the kitchen cleaning and getting married. And she's like, but I'm really strong. And they're like, we don't believe in you, but we love you though, but we don't believe in you. And she's
you never
like,
follow
wow,
instructions.
gender rules are bad. And and then the dying scene with grandpa, she's like, I love you, and he's like, I love you, and I'm just like this was me reading it. I was just like,
he's been in 2 pages. Again, this is one of the things where it's like she plotted the book out, but she didn't actually leave time for it to organically grow as a story for the reader. He dies too fast. One thing, for example, is like, and this is the thing where so little backstory. I found a podcast that also reviewed this book. I'm not going to say which because I don't want to start fights. And they thought this was just a wonderful work of literature and should be studied for writing. And you know, one of their defenses when people were like, "It's not good," was that like it's YA. It has and it's a one book story, so it has to be a little simplified. No, it doesn't have to be simplified. And
read
here's
Scorpio.
the thing. Scorpio Races, anything by Diana Wynne Jones, Garth Nix. The thing with her relationship with her grandfather is it could be immediately made more complex, and she could become a better character if we kind of understood how she got to the point of him teaching her. Like, did she wheedle and whine at him until eventually he was like, okay, I'll teach you this, and then I'll teach you that. And then she saw that slowly he actually kind of started having fun teaching her because he's an old man that everybody's like saying you're old and crazy and have nose hair. Like, you know, is it something where he wanted to piss off her dad a little bit, you know, or did she like remind him of his wife? Like, those kinds of things would make her a more active character and give just like even a little bit more depth to her, because there's going to be a point later that's almost touching about her grandfather, but it isn't because he's not a real character. See how it would be more active if she had to kind of trick him into teaching her, and then that tells you something about her. And like right now it's literally just like, yeah, he was a woke king.
He just automatically was like, oh, this girl wants to fight, I think she could probably do it, that's fine, like I'm gonna train her. Like, that's boring, it doesn't tell me anything about him or her. And like, we're about to run into a huge issue with these next 2 chapters, because like we got our tragic backstory, we have like sort of a basic sketch of our characters, and they're about to just turn into banter machines, like hee hee ha ha. There's like I almost have no trauma, like just goofy, and I'm like, wait, what just happened? So like, yeah, like Lalo and his sister are on their way. They arrive in town. They get on. They rent a little house up on top of the hill just outside of town by the forest, because that's all that was available. And everyone's like, oh, in town, like, oh, by the forest, that's dangerous because of the vampires. That's so scary. And they're like, oh, we didn't know, but also we're okay because I got a vampire with me. And then we cut to Carolina, and she is getting ready to sneak out and go hunt vampires. She like puts on a pair of pants in front of the mirror, and she's like, I've never seen a vampire hunter with such curvy hips. And she winks at herself, and I'm like, who is this like sassy little like?
This is where it seems like the author again kind of seems to know she's writing trash a little bit. Like, it almost works if the characters were more consistently like this.
I sent you a screenshot of that in particular because I was like, this is almost funny. Like, it's not just her describing her hips. She like winks at herself. It's a little tongue in cheek. But I'm like, this would work if it was established that she was kind of like a sassy little like a menace like that.
And not grumpy all the time, which everybody is like, oh, she's like, so grumpy.
Yeah. But we were led to believe that she was just sort of like this like suppressed badass. And I'm like, who are you? And so she's getting ready. Her cousin walks in on her while she's getting ready, and she's like getting ready for a costume party. Her cousin Nena is exactly the same as Fernanda. She's
exactly the same character.
Pretty, quirky, gay, and a banter machine. And
it's the same kind of banter as Fernanda too. Like, literally, it's like, I'm hot. Isn't it kind of funny that I'm hot?
Like, everything's a little bit funny. I'm gonna go put myself in dangerous situations and like just make light of it with jokes for some reason. And I have to stop at this point and say, like, I am so confused by this like world building, because I love gay representation. I am a little gay myself. I love to see it. However, you have but like, I have like when it's just, you've established this as historical, you've established that there is active like gender roles and sexism in this. Like these are things that you've established. Like girls belong in this place, like boys belong in this place. It doesn't, and we've just established it's weird for girls to wear pants. Girls should not wear pants. However, for whatever reason, we're okay with gay people in this world. And it's just like casually mentioned. She's like, "Are you going to see a girl, like a boy or a girl?" And it's just like, why make it make sense? Make your world building make sense. I don't get it.
Why it's a very odd thing, because the thing is, you don't necessarily have to include forms of oppression that existed in our world in your secondary fantasy worlds or even alternate worlds to an extent. In terms of like
work within the confines of what you're already giving us.
But that's the problem, is that you are working within those confines. It doesn't, and the sexism part is like, well, why isn't that off the board too? Because like, and the reason is because sexism here is not an institutional thing that causes harm to women. It's like a hurdle for self-improvement or actualization. And so like, that's why the author leaves it in. It's not even super relevant to the story that gay people be accepted. Like the one gay romance, and I'm using those in such faint quotation marks, could just happen even in like a society that's kind of homophobic. Like it's that is their openness doesn't matter. It's just deleterious to your world. It's the Bridgerton problem of like, you can't just wipe out one form of oppression without explaining how it affects others.
One thing happened and all of history changed. Like it just like, I don't know. It was distracting to me, and like it felt like, because like Fernanda and Nena aren't like well sketched characters, like the representation meant nothing to me. So I was just like, what? Like it just felt like the author nodding to the audience, like, see, gay people good, gay people, we like gay people, it was good.
So for example, okay, so what we're gonna have is Nena and Fernanda are gonna fall into bed with each other, and it's gonna be mentioned like 6 times, but only in a sentence each. But anyway, so one thing that could have been, I thought, interesting is that the theme in this book, again, is how far would you go for the ones you love? And there could have been a kind of interesting theme of Lalo learning to let Fernanda go a little bit and have some other kind of love in her life that's not him, and being like, it's okay, she doesn't need me to do something immoral. She'll be okay on her own, or she can move on a little bit. There's a way to actually make that gay relationship important to the narrative in a way it is not now, because the author just did it for bonus points.
Or like if they had to hide it a little bit and like sneak around, and Lalo and Carolina had to sort of help them hide their relationship from their parents. Like you don't need to be like violently like make your characters like extremely homophobic like to have this. Like it could just be like a bit of a taboo, and you could still have your representation, and it would make more sense, because like it's not, we don't even actually mention or explore at all how Carolina's mother or father feel about homosexuality. It's just so random. Doesn't come up. It only comes up in context with Fernanda and Nena. That's it. It's like that's it. That's it. And I'm like,
they're not even characters who have chemistry together. They're literally just like,
they're the
because
same
they're barely
person.
on page. They're the same person. They're barely on page. It literally is like the author was ticking a box of like, haha, gay ally. And the thing is, the book is cheaper for not trying to explain that and explore what those characters and their relationship could be. And so it's very annoying, and it's just very much a Jenna school of writing thing, or a Moresi school of writing thing.
Yeah, it very much feels that way. So Nena accompanies Carolina on her little vampire hunting excursion. They go out to the woods. Nena brings up a frying pan with her as a weapon, because she's quirky. And they're out there. They're looking around for vampires, and then they hear
D&D
like
class quirky.
Yeah. And they hear like a slurping sounds, moaning and slurping sounds. So they're like, oh my god, we found a vampire. And Carolina like rushes up to our boy Lalo, who's snacking on a little deer, and he's like, whoa, don't hurt me. And she's like, die, you. Hold on, I gotta read like this bit of.
It's gonna hurt me so much hearing this again. It's so random to who the characters are, because the thing is, Lalo is not a clever person with anyone other than Lena.
He's not been quippy at all thus far. So this scene was so weird. Like, we got a little bit of like sassy.
He's supposed to be kind of a nerd bookworm kind of character. So it's random that he's like this with just one person.
Yeah, out of nowhere, she's trying to kill him. So I'm just gonna read this. And again,
do you want to put it on screen?
I just have like a little screenshot on the side. I didn't put them in the thingy, but I'll
tisk. No, I won't do more work. Go ahead and read it.
All right, I apologize if I say the Spanish words wrong. Nena ran from her hiding place, screeching like a mother hen. She raised the pan and cracked the vampiro hard across the face. The sediento staggered, his hands going to his cheek. "Hell's below," he bellowed. He was calling the other devils, beckoning them to assist him. "Not on my watch," Carolina growled. Carolina. She scrambled to her feet and swung the machete at the sediento. His eyes went wide with disbelief, but he skittered away just in time. "Wait," he shouted, blah, 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 like it's bad action. Fiery rage burned within her at the thought. "You will die tonight," she snarled, grabbing her rope. "But I'm already dead." "Do not mock me, you. What word was worse than a life-sucking prick? Deplorable demon," he suggested. He's reading her mind here, by the way. "Do not finish my sentences, you deplorable demon. I will happily stop when you cease trying to murder me," he ducked. "Never. It's just like...
It's so just like Joss Whedon dialogue.
Yeah, like that's what you said. It's very much like that. It's like, oh, so... It's what I hate most when like authors think they're funny and they give the funny lines to the next character who's gonna speak. It's like, I thought of this banter. It has nothing to do with either of the characters, but I thought it would be funny if they said it. And it's just like...
That's the other thing I think about bad banter. Bad banter is placed in the mouths of characters, but is not characters reacting to each other. The author thought, wouldn't it be funny if one person said this and then the other person said that? And so they just put it in the mouths of two characters instead of, wouldn't it be funny if a character said this? And then they thought about how the other character would react. Like, that's a real problem with this banter, because it will never feel organic. And like at times, again, if she had been able to make the characters a little bit more like this normally, it at least would have been easier to read.
Yeah, like this feels so like, when I first read it, I was like, is this Lalo? This doesn't read at all like Lalo. Yeah. Because like he's just been like, well, actually, according to my studies, I've been reading a lot about things, and like all of a sudden, like some like ha girl's trying to kill him, and he's just like, ha ha ha, quippy quip. And of course, the first thing she thinks when, like I said earlier, when she sees him is, "Oh my God, he's the most beautiful boy in the world." And I was like, is Lalo hot? I didn't know. I didn't get that.
Lalo has abs, apparently, which is insane for a guy who, like, yeah.
And he has a pencil mustache, everyone. He's got a pencil mustache.
People have mentioned that. As somebody with a mustache, do better. You can do more. And so basically, yeah, they have like a flirt, and then he runs away, and she's like, "Damn it. He's so hot. I should have caught him, but I didn't."
Oh,
right?
Yeah, it really is just like that. It's just like she like freezes like when she first like sees him. She's like, "The most beautiful boy in the world. What a waste." But like hot people good, so we move on. Yeah.
And so okay, so there's then a party. At her house. Something else happens in between, but I don't care.
Nothing does, actually. They I don't remember why, but Lalo and Fernanda are both invited to a party, I guess, at
No. She tracks down who Lalo is and then invites his sister to the party.
Yeah, okay. Because she's like,
you
trying
can tell,
like, what?
It's stupid.
Yeah, what's going on? Who are these people? Why is she hanging out with this vampire? I want answers. So they like show up at the party, and first we have a scene with Carolina, and she is like, Mom is like, get all pretty. Like, this is like grandpa's like funeral party or something, but she's like, get all pretty. And she's like, okay, why? She's like, you're such a beautiful young woman. And she's like, what the hell's going on? She's like, we invited your old childhood friend, Raphael. He's coming to the party. And she's like, okay, I don't know. And you, the reader, are like, oh, she's getting engaged
So
to this
stupid.
guy. Like, it's very obvious that like she's about to get engaged to this guy. But Carolina's like, oh, I wonder what all this is about. And like Rafa's like, you're so beautiful. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. Like, I hate it when authors make their characters stupid just for the sake of like the plot drama. And I'm like, this isn't working. The drama that you're trying to set up isn't working. Your character just looks like a dumbass. Like,
and it just makes the world feel less real when your characters are stupid about plot points that you know are clearly there. Okay, so they go into the party. Raphael is just like alpha male dick. He's like, he wants to possess women, not respect them.
He's just like kind of like a vaguely irritating, like hypermasculine guy. He's not like deeply problematic. He's just kind of like I don't really want to be around you kind of like, it's
romantic foil in a CW show.
Yeah, but also he's not really a romantic foil at all, because immediately, like, when Lalo shows up, he like breaks a statue or something, and he's like, oh, whoops. And
he breaks an ice statue of their recently dead grandfather.
He does. I forgot it was that.
It's so weird. It's so weird. I don't know. Like, the thing is, this book is so dumb. Parts of it kind of just go by without you thinking about it. But that was one of the weirder moments.
This book is strange. Like, the pacing is strange because like things will happen in the course of like 2 sentences and they just move on so quickly. I'm like if you like space out for a second, I'm like, wait, how did we get here? What's going on? Like, we get to this part, we like move from the forest to this party in like a couple of pages. Like, it's so quick. And then like it's gonna feel like segmented and strange when I jump from plot point to plot point, because it is like that when I'm reading it. Like, and do you remember exactly what happens?
Yes.
How Carolina? Okay.
So what happens is that Carolina's plan is to get him in the house and then murder him in front of all of her friends and family so that they take her seriously as a hunter. Yes, this is her plan. But he is able to stay around other people, which stops her. Or he stays around, I think, his sister, which stops her, or something like that.
You know, family bonds, love, blah, blah, blah.
But, yeah, if you're wondering, like, that doesn't seem like a very clear motivation, you should have been paying more attention to the book. I was. It's not a clear motivation. So she eventually gets him, though, on his own, or, like, she's able to separate him from the pack, and they're in the library alone, and she, like, is going to kill him with her dagger, but she sees in his eyes something hot. Not hot, but human.
Yeah, and she's like, why are your eyes brown and not bright red? And he's like, I just eat like deer and rabbits. I'm just a little vegan boy. I don't like killing people. It makes me feel bad. And she's like, wow, a good guy. But also, like, I don't trust you. And
but
then
also, it's a vampire. How can a vampire be good? She's going to have so much trouble with this issue throughout the book, and the author really thinks she's spitting about trying to become, like, use ambiguity when, like, no, Lalo is a saint who happens to have a cold. That is literally all that's happening in this book. There's no ambiguity.
It's so dumb. And then, like, as they're getting all close to each other, like a knife, like, I'm gonna kill you, I think that people come in and they're like really up close with her, like, oh my god, scandal, she's supposed to be engaged to that other guy. And then Carolina,
and she's here alone with a boy.
Yeah, bright girl that she is like, I don't want to get married to Rafa, I'm in love with Lalo. And he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, I'm going all in on this plan, and I'm not backing down. And I'm like, what? Why?
Okay, so first of all, this is a slightly funny scene, but it makes absolutely no sense. So let's track her motivations. She brought Lalo to the party to murder him in front of people, then won't murder him in front of people. Then, because she doesn't want to personally get married, she decides to keep this absolute demon of a person she thinks alive so that she personally won't have to maybe get married.
Her like logic line, it like takes so many huge leaps. I'm like, Okay, all right, whatever.
It's such artifice. It makes no sense.
Like
It's
the
one of
author's
these.
like, how do I get into this like fake engagement plot? And it's so funny how quickly her parents are just like, well, if you're in love with him, like there's a little bit of pushback, but not nearly as much as there should be. Like,
No, there's barely any. And again, it's just a real. So with a good fake engagement plot, because this is a trope, and that's what this book is going to be doing, and a fake dating plot, you need a reason to pretend to be dating that actually kind of makes sense for this trope, not just to feel trophy and like author fiat. Like again, in that podcast talking about how great this book they are, they're like, oh, they really justify the tropes. No, they don't. So for example, I thought a better motivation would have been like if her grandfather was slowly turning into a vampire and the rest of the family didn't know, and then Walalo was like, oh, I'm going to try to fix this. She is tempted to break the rules to try and save her grandfather or something like that.
That would have been so much better. And honestly, when in the first Carolina's first chapter, I was like, is the grandpa going to turn into a vampire? Like that would have been so much more interesting, and it would have let us get to know him and love him a little bit more. And like that would be like a sort of like a blade hanging over the plot. Like that would have made it a little bit more. Like there'd be more tension. This book is sorely lacking.
Oh yeah, there's no tension throughout of anything. So basically, now they're fake engaged, and she's like, "I'll kill you later," and he's like, no, it's stupider. No, it's stupider." Raphael is like, "I challenge you to a duel."
My God, I forget this is that.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
And Lalo's like, a duel? I don't know how to do a duel.
I'm just a nerd.
It's like, and wait, does she teach him how to like punch before or after?
No, this is after. She physically abuses him afterwards. Here she's like, don't worry about it. You're a vampire. You're not going to die. Just point and pull the trigger or whatever. And then she's thinking, haha, I'll murder him once he's down on the ground, which again...
She clearly does not want to murder him. I don't know why she keeps thinking that she's going to murder him. Yeah. She's like, every time like they're in a room together, she's like, oh, he's so hot though. Okay. But
yeah,
like, I'm totally going to kill him. It's like she's like being coy with herself about it. Like
it really is. It's such a it's so the logic for why she doesn't do the things that she's supposed to do are so thin. She just comes off like an idiot. So he gets shot, but also wins the duel. But she goes over to murder him and then can't again. And then he wakes up and they had to take his clothes off. So he's like, my clothes were off when he wakes up. And she's like, oh my God, his abs. And he's like, oh, she likes my abs. And I'm sitting here with my one ab being like, that is not how having a sedentary lifestyle where you read books works.
Why does he buff? Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like
it's really dumb. And that this is the point where he's like, I'm here to stop all sedientos, which is what they call vampires, even though it's a dumb word for it. And she's like, oh, okay, maybe that could be kind of cool. I guess I won't kill you just yet, but you're still a monster. And he's like, okay, cool. And then that's that part.
And they're like hunkering down. It's not they're buckling down on the like we're totally in love and engaged. We're gonna work on this
fake dating,
ending vampires together and fake dating. We're doing this, and her parents are again weirdly kind of open to this. They're like, but Rafa came all this way, sweetie. What about his feelings and what we promised? And she's like, I'm in love, and they're like, well. Okay, I guess we'll go get tea at their house tomorrow and talk to him about it. And I'm just so like, funny. Like, are they trying to control their daughter or not? Like, she can't like what's
they can't decide. No, it's true. It's like they can't decide if they're gonna be like parents who are tough about this kind of thing or not. And there's also just like a lack of like realness in the world. Like it would make so much sense if they were like, well, we don't know who his family is. Like that would add just like a little bit of realism to the world if they said something like that versus like, we don't know who he is, let's go meet him. And then the whole thing about him having a fake family would actually like mean something, which it tries to be later on in the novel.
It just doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's supposed to meet them there, but he fails.
She teaches him to fight. She teaches him to fight a little bit first.
By punching him several
training
times.
montages. It's so dumb. Like, training montage is perhaps a strong word.
I was gonna say maybe a bit much. It's just like, hey, this is how you fight, and everyone's like, oh. This book does the trope of like nerdy guy, woman warrior, which like I didn't love, but I also don't. It's kind of nice not to read another Shadow Daddy. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of harmless, I guess, if people are looking to mix it up. I don't think this is done particularly well, but
yeah. So you can't decide if he's buff or not. I don't know. His character is very confusing to me.
So yeah, he's gonna go. He goes by the family dogs, and they're barking at him. And one of her brothers or cousins is like, "Yeah, you have to be confident. You have to act like el patron." And he's like, And so he goes to the local bar, but before he gets there, a vampire shows up, and she's the sexy vampire before, but not the one that turned him. And she's like, "We know you're here, and we care for some reason." And he kills her. So again,
and he feels really bad about it. He doesn't like killing, even though it was a vampire. He's real sad.
Yeah, well, and he keeps getting migraines for not having drunk enough blood. And so, and then there's a part where the author really thought she ate, where afterwards he goes in and he like bumps into a guy, and the guy is like, "You loser, you! I'm gonna beat you up." And he's like, "No, you're not. I'm El Patron." And it's supposed to be like a
hurling
funny...
macho things at each other, and Lalo legitimately thought he was about to get beaten up, and this guy just laughs and he's like, "Ha ha ha ha! I'm Carolina's cousin or something. Welcome to the family. I hear you guys were caught in a library together." Ha ha ha! And Lalo's like, "I hear this cantina has like records and like stuff somewhere," and he's like, "Yeah, there's a secret door out back. Check out those stuff." And Lalo's like, "Sick," and he is late to.
He misses tea.
He misses tea because he's too busy reading. Little nerd. He was probably doing like crunches while he was reading too to keep up his abs.
That's how it works. Ancient documents are heavy. That makes sense. And so her parents are like mildly put off by this, but you're also kind of wondering why this is even a part of the book. And then they go home and guards have been killed. Okay, so this is the problem, is she'll often use guards or men, but it's often her father's men. But the thing is, like, it's said that this town has so many fuentes that, like, they often just go to other towns to get wives because, like, everybody's related to each other. All the people that die here should be her uncles or cousins or relatives, or she should know by name. And that is not a part of this book. And that's one of the ways that the author is pretty lazy. She actually hasn't thought through her setting, and also it would add emotional stakes. And also, that's Dazzler. That is...
This is Dazzler, everyone.
Isn't she She's very cute. She's so
beautiful. But yeah, that was a really weird scene because, like, she describes like the guards are dead. She goes inside her the brothers are playing, and she's like, "Oh, thank goodness." And then like they do a big check of the house. And they're like, "Don't worry, no one's dead." And I'm like, "The guards are dead. Are we not concerned about their lives?"
Like, it's real weird. I think it's because I think because the problem is that would then create stakes of Lalo not telling her about the vampires being after him has now caused real people to die. I kept thinking that was going to be a shoe that was dropped that he hadn't told her, but she literally never cares. No. So it's
Carolina's first thought when the guards are dead, she's like, "Oh my God, Lalo was late. Well, he didn't show up to tea because he was out here on a rampage killing things. I thought he was one of the good ones. I should have killed him when I had the chance." So the minute she's alone, she like grabs a horse and rides off to find him because she's like, "I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him so good for real this time." And Lalo stumbles out of the bar, reading all day. He's like, "Wow, I learned some things about vampire like lore history in this town. Real good reading." And this woman rides up on a horse. She's like, "You're dead." And he's like, "Whoa, what did I do?" And she's like, "You know what you did, you monster," because she's just so obtuse. Like she's
all of these scenes just remind me of like the worst flirty fighting from like the early aughts movies. Like specifically, I'm thinking of The Legend of Zorro, which is possibly a little racist, but this book is kind of marketed as Buffy meets Zorro, so I'm not totally off. But that kind of thing. But the problem is often that works much better in movies with actors who are very charismatic, like who can actually make comedy and action work like that and have chemistry. Whereas on a page, it requires a lot more like footwork on the part of the author through like dialogue. Like it creates kind of a problem that the author leans so heavily on this goofy combative banter to build the relationship between them, and also that they're very hot, and also towards the end that they accept each other in ways that other people don't, which is they'll just keep telling us. And he's like, no, I've got an alibi. I was here the whole time by myself in the basement. That's not what an alibi is, but okay. And she's like, that is what an alibi is. And he's like, guess what? I did some research. Actually, this whole vampire thing is your family's fault. The first
We're gonna go dig up your grandpa's grave right now, actually. Oh, I think they fight off a couple vampires first, and I think Carolina kills one of them.
There's no tension anytime a vampire shows up. It's so funny. Like, I just forget. So basically, Tijuani, again, is an Aztec god of, like, the dead. And basically, her great-great-great-grandpa was, like, his daughter died?
The rumor is, or the understanding is that someone, well, I think the actual true story was his wife, right?
Yeah, I believe
there was a rumor that it was a child, like they were mourning a child and they brought a child back. But that was before we thought that it was the Fuentes family, I believe. And then Lalo read something. Yeah.
Right. And then it ends up that actually, no, it was that she she brought him back, but to bring him back, the god of the dead is a trickster god, and was like, haha, idiots, you now have to drink a lot of blood. And the rest of the book, Lena is going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe my family would have done this. Oh my God, how could we have done something like this? And she just keeps thinking that a lot. But yeah, okay, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, when they're in like the graveyard, they dig up his coffin. There's a lot of moments there where they're like, wow, they're so hot. We brushed elbows, and I'm just really thinking about that elbow brush. Ooh, baby. And then they...
Here while we're digging up a grave of one of my ancestors.
And then they dig up the coffin, and it's empty. The coffin's empty, you guys. Like, oh my God, great-great-great-grandpa's out there being a menace somewhere. I gotta stop great-grandpa. And then Carolina has a little breakdown. She starts crying. She's like, I'm so sad about my grandpa died, and I really haven't mourned him yet. And then Lalo gives her a little hug, and he starts crying blood. He's like, shit. Fuck! Like, I can't let her see this. Like,
I don't know how that didn't stain her clothes, but it's supposed to be a moment of like she was never able to really grieve in front of her mom and her father, so she can now grieve in front of him. And listen, it is a very common romantic trope to have the romance be with someone who fills emotional needs that you're not getting anywhere else in your life. I've read a lot of fanfic. This is always a thing. Even I am prey to it. And it is just a fundamental, like, oh, they see me in a way other people don't kind of a thing. And it can be used really to build chemistry between characters. But here it just felt so forced and it felt so tropey. And so clearly, like, the author was like, look, I need to find things that they can connect on so that they see each other seriously.
It's just like, oh, my grandpa died. Oh, my parents died. I haven't really had a good cry about it because I've been thinking about my sister so much. And then they cry and they understand each other and they're like, oh my goodness. And they like each other, kind of, even though they're not admitting it to it. And we're like, well, this engagement is totally just for show, and it's just for the, whatever.
And he wouldn't even really like me if it wasn't
there's
fake.
So much of that.
Because we're so different. He's hot and I'm hot.
Why would we like each other? And then I think like Lala goes back home, and then she goes back to her family house, and her dad is like, where were you? There's vampires being attacked. I was so worried about you. And Carolina in her head is like, I killed those vampires, but I'm not going to tell him that because he wouldn't even believe me. And then Dad is like, oh, I'm just so glad you're okay. And she's like, thanks, Dad. And she's like, and then there's like an alarm, and I guess like vampires are headed like kind of near like Lalo's house. And then she's like, no, Lalo. And then Dad is like, don't worry, I'll go check on him, sweetheart. You stay here, please. And she's like, okay, just this once, I'll listen to you. So Dad goes to Lalo's house, breaks down the door, and like Fernanda is like, or Lalo's like, hey man, heard a knocking? And they like sit down and talk. He's like, if you're going to be wed to my daughter, and Lalo's like, wait, really, you approve? And he's like, you and your sister are gonna have to come back and move into the family house because it's not safe here by the woods. Family protects family.
Lalo says, hey, why don't we go hide out in your house? And he's like, I like the cut of your jib.
Oh, okay. Lalo recommend. Oh my god.
Yeah, you know real danger, mijo. And Lalo's like, oh, nobody's calling me.
Someone called me son.
So let's talk about overuse of Spanish by Hispanic authors, because this is just an endemic thing. I think it's okay. Yeah, she can't have an opinion on this. I think it's okay when there are different connotations to the word you're using. So, for example, an hacienda can be translated as a plantation, but semantically, and it has different connotations. And so it's a little bit like, okay, I can see using that. But at one point, they're like, we have to go back to the casa. And I'm like, the casa is literally just a house. That's it. That's all it is. And so like right here where he says mi hijo versus son, I think there is some value in it, in that mi hijo is kind of a common Spanish phrase. Like, you actually, like the female version mija would actually kind of be contracted into mija, like one word almost. So like I think in this case there is value to it, but a lot of places in this book, but though even then you could just imagine him saying, okay, son, and him being like, oh, so nobody's called me son. Like it's the same.
It's a little bit odd because she does use brother and sister like that are not like in Spanish a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So like and like you said earlier, like it's just the older generations use like the Spanish like sort of nicknames a lot more often. And it doesn't bother me because it rings true to how people would speak, even if it's not accurate. Like reading it, the only one that that made me ask you, I was like, how do you feel about the Spanglish? It was a Casa thing, because I was like, yeah, it's like if this was a French book and you're like, let's go back to the maison, everyone. I'm like, it just like, you don't have to be using that word right now.
Yeah, this book is actually not as bad as others about it. And especially towards the second half, I think she does it less, or it becomes more invisible. But be on watch, authors. You better not do this in your next book. Angela Montoya. Okay, they go back to the house. There's this hilarious bit about how Lalo has to cover himself so that so the sun doesn't touch him and he burns.
And like, I was so confused about the bit about him crying blood. He's like, I didn't know I cried blood. And then like in that scene, he's like, it's a good thing I don't sweat blood too. And I'm like, that's a weird image. Like, why are you giving me all of this strange, like vampire, like physiology stuff? Like that is not going to become relevant. Like
it's real weird. And like, even, the idea, you don't have to have your vampires be afraid of the sun, but like, it's a powerful metaphor that a vampire can never step into the sun. Will always be hidden from it. And it's said that he can
kind of step into the sun, but it hurt because he's still mostly human. He hasn't given up his humanity, but it's not real pleasant for him. And I guess people can tell. I don't actually know what it does. Her descriptions leave much to be desired.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of this book. Okay, and then they're like, what does happen next? I think this starts the part of the book where nothing happens for a while and they just hang out.
Let me see. Did I write this? Because I was writing this down and I was like, wow, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But at one point I was just like, nothing is going on. Just wearing pants. Move in. Party, parents trope.
And the funny thing is, I listened to a lot of this morning. Again, I think at this point, there's like, they get closer, they're doing some kind of research until Val finds the part that's different. Eventually, there's a party.
Yeah, he reads a bunch. He reads a bunch in Dad's study. They train some more. She teaches him, I think,
they read the same poetry.
Oh yeah, we forgot they read the same poetry, you guys. And their favorite line is the same favorite line. It's really romantic. It's
And he can smell her on the books, so clearly they're meant to be.
She's like, all the books in the library smell like her. I could just imagine her hands touching the spines. And I'm like, all right, okay.
A Calm down, bibliophile. Yeah. It's like a gamer, the gamer girl of the 1850s. Yeah. Oh my god, she reads.
Oh my god, I've always wanted to read her girlfriend.
Okay, I don't know. Some bullshit happens, and then there's a party.
They train, they read.
And they realize they need to go to this one mountain where supposedly her grandfather
is. The Devil's Spine.
Right. Oh, Fernanda and Nena get it on like 3 times, but also don't really even have any dialogue together, so it's real.
Yeah, we just kind of we stumble upon them in like bed every now and then, and they're just like, don't tell Nanny.
Hot vampire Marcela shows up and is like, oh, hey, Carolina, I'm just a friend.
And she doesn't know her. She's like, who is this hot, sultry redhead? Yeah. She's a little weird. And then we move on to the party. Rafa, like, and
this is more bullshit.
Lalo,
yeah,
hang out and like get in a horse race or something.
No. There's a bunch of people there to buy the cattle from the Fuentes.
Oh,
and then what happens is that unrelatedly, her father goes to Lalo and is like, "You're gonna be one of us. We're gonna go on a vampire hunt. You got to come with us." And there's a hilarious bit where Raphael gave Lalo a pony without anybody else noticing, so he's trying to
a pony. Oh, that's so stupid. It's just
it's
haha hee hee. Like
whatever. He gets separated. Yeah, he gets separated at one point from the group, and Marcela shows up and is like, "I'm gonna kill your sister." And you're like, why does she care this much about this random vampire guy?
The revenge plot, again, like the revenge plots of this don't make sense. Lalo's didn't in chapter 1. Marcela's doesn't really make sense here. It's like, I'm your maker, you're my child. I'm gonna
like
kill
those
you.
people you killed in the basement. Yeah. And it's like, really? Okay.
Like, it's weird that like it's like they're my family. You killed my family. I'm like, do you care about your family? You seem like kind of a cold-hearted bitch lady. Like I don't really like the author's trying to weave this whole like it's about family and love, even for vampires. And I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't really ring true to me at all.
It's so stupid. There's so many parts of this book, that are just like. The author wrote it down in a plot outline and then just kept it that way and didn't really expand on it.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a fight. Rafa shows up and is like, "You're a vampire." He figured it out. Marcela gets away. Rafa gets like unconscious, but when they get back, Lalo goes to Carolina is like, "We got to get out of here because when Rafa wakes up, they're all gonna know I'm a vampire." Mm-hmm. And she's like,
"You saved him, even though he knew your secret, and he's gonna ruin everything." He's like, "Of course. Why would I let him die? I'm a good person." And she's like, "Wow." And they're getting ready to go to the Devil's Spine at this point to kill great grandpa and end vampires forever. Is that correct?
Yes, they were getting ready to do, but now they got to do it faster. So they steal like a coach and they head off, and they got to go through the mountains. There's a part where they kiss, and it's very hot.
Yeah. But
then afterwards, he's like, "It is very hot." I don't know why you made that face. It's really hot. Then when he's like, "Oh, I got to be strong. You can't be part of. I can't hold on to you. I don't love you. That was a terrible kiss." And she's like, "He's obviously lying." Okay. Which I think is the author trying to be funny with that trope. And it's like, I see in the grand scheme how you thought that was going to be funny, but it's not actually that funny.
Your Josh Whedon accusation is very accurate because like there's a thing like bathos can be funny where you like say something stupid, you look at the camera and you're like, isn't that stupid? And this author kind of tries to do that bathos thing where she like does the trope, makes eye contact with you and says, "Heh heh heh,"
hanging a lampshade on it.
Yeah, but like it's just like it's a little bit like it doesn't quite hit in the same way that like Joss Whedon oftentimes doesn't hit for me, just because like it's just like this is like at a certain point you're just cutting all of the sincerity, like the potential for sincerity out of your book, and like when you try to make it sincere later, you're waiting for the like other shoe to drop, and it's like, oh no, this is just you deciding this is a sincere moment in the book, and it's not earned because you've just been he this whole time, And it's just the tone doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like,
one of the things about comedy is that comedy needs a certain amount of contrast for it to be effective. So like one of the funniest shows I've ever watched is Mad Men, and that's because half the time that show is super serious, and then the other half of the time they'll say something funny, but it only works because it's so crisp and funny in comparison to the more serious parts of it. There's another movie called The Lobster, which is brutally depressing, but also brutally funny at the same time. Yargos Lathimos, for those who are wondering. And so this book doesn't do that. And the other thing is, it's, again, as we were saying before, it's not integrated into her character. It's not her. This is not a thing that it seems like she would do or a way that she would react. Because again, a lot of the time she's supposed to act like a repressed badass, and that's just not really who she is. And I don't know. It's just real dumb. Okay, they have to go through. Okay, we're going through the wilderness. Their wagon breaks down. There are these things called like bloodhounds that like don't like vampires, so they get hunted by those for a little bit. They go through strife. She has to let him feed on her. Again, it's basically like he has a cold. There's no like, ooh, temptation to go more. She's like, I would have just stabbed you if you did it more. And also, this is unsensual.
It's not like she squanders all of the like sexy potential for a vampire, and it's like it's kind of a nod at it. Like she's like, oh, and like when she's like, Lolo, you're hurting me. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He stops, and she was like, oh, it's okay. You were doing your best or whatever. And he was like, I could have really hurt you. I want all of you. And she's like, all of me? Oh my gosh, really? And he's like, yes, all of you. And I'm like, okay.
Again,
there's no chemistry between these characters. There aren't characters. They just have like a couple of interests and a couple of goals, and they're just like banter machines. That's
banter, and they're hot. Again, so much of the commentary about each other is about how hot they are.
And like the book tries to tell you over and over again, like, these people understand each other like no one else has ever understood each other, and it doesn't ring true at all. Like, they read the same books, they both like reading, they both lost some like a family recently, but that's kind of it. And they're hot. That's really it. Everything else is just told to you. Like, you guys, I promise, they're totally in love. For real though, they're in love.
For real.
For real. And I'm like, okay, I have to just like let it go, because
Brandon Sanderson said this thing about romances, which I don't think is necessarily true for all romances, but it's still quite insightful, is that a romance is people with like two vines with thorns, who at first thorns are facing each other, but then when they fall in love, they wrap around so that their thorns are facing outward, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's kind of a good metaphor for it. But the thing about it is, these characters, when they wrap around each other with their thorns outward, the other character has to slot into a missing role that's deep-seated in the other person. So it's not like Carolina at one point says like, oh, he believes in me that I can do something. And it's like, okay, but you had a grandpa who just did that. Your father also is not that bad as fathers go. Like, this is not a deep-seated need that he's filling that you as a reader are instinctually like, oh, I get this chemistry. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she is not filling anything for him that he did not have before. The
only hole they're filling is a hot-shaped guy hole. Like, it's a sorry, that was a bad sentence.
Hot-shaped guy hole. Oh yeah. All right.
No more. We're moving on.
Okay, but it's like it's at one point the author tried to be like, well, Lena was alive in a way that he never allowed himself to be because he was a dork. And it's like, was he though? Because he seems fine. And also, like, okay, so they kill Marcella when she shows up. Yeah,
I'm gonna need you, because I was just like so bored. I was like, can this book please be over?
There's a fight where Marcella shows up and they kill her, and I believe you have the quote for the immediate.
My God, yes, this is the one where I was like, this feels like dialogue that you write in. We're like, I don't really know what would be like emotionally impactful in this moment, so I'm just gonna write very, very literally like what is happening and what I'm trying to get across, like, as the author to the audience.
And I'll go back in and flesh it out later, so it sounds more natural.
Holy shit, he panted. He turned to Carolina. I killed her. The beast who murdered my parents is gone. Carolina reached out and grasped his hand, ignoring the ache screaming through her body. He shook his head. I thought I'd feel relieved, but my mother and father are still gone. Her death doesn't change that. No, Carolina said. But there's now one less vampiro trying to end us before we reach Vidal. 2 if you count the oaf you also killed. Besides, Maricela was a real bitch. Lalo chuckled. Truer words have never been spoken. Truer words have never been spoken.
What is going on?
What's happening?
How are you supposed to believe that this is a person with actual feelings? It's insane.
Like that's so stilted. That's like you said the thing. You're like, what?
You said the thing, but you also said it too quickly, and like it's insane that he immediately has this reaction. And like even it doesn't even tie into the themes of the book, because by this point he should be like, he realized strangely he didn't so much care that he had gotten vengeance for his family, but that now his sister was safe. That at least plays into the themes of the book of like protecting a family or something. It's not even doing that. It's just like, isn't revenge kind of lame, guys? And I'm immediately going to get over whatever emotional attachment that emotional reaction this villain got from me.
Truer words have never been spoken. It's just like, it just like slapped me in the face. I was like, what? God, after all of that stilted dialogue, I was like, what is this? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
I think she was getting bored while she was writing this too.
I mean, I've literally seen it suggested that you should write in parentheses what happens in a scene when you get stuck and keep going.
And that reads like that.
It reads 1,000% like they just deleted the parentheses. Okay. At this point they realize, Carolina realizes that Lalo will probably die if this happens, and she's like, no, I can't lose you. And he's like, I don't want to. I have you to hang on to now. Again, whatever. They go to the summit of the mountain, and there her father shows up, but right before her father shows up, Lalo falls into a hole and meets the vampire, the original Fuentes guy, and they're like fighting. And Carolina has to go to her dad and be like, look, you gotta trust me. Our family's guilt can be ended now. This is the time. Mulan. And her father is like, okay, I'll do it.
It's so boring.
Right? It's like, that's all.
Like, everyone, like we're told, like, her dad is supposed to be like not a villain, but like kind of an antagonist figure, but he just caves so easily to like, it's like, well, okay, I guess so. Like, it's just
it's so perfunctory, and it's not built up, and it's like the author was afraid to give him actual teeth, but also didn't know how to build a character arc. Like that's kind of the thing about this book, and that review that was talking about how great it is that it's not enough for an author to say a thing or say this is a theme, or say this is a character arc. You need to expand on it in a way that's interesting and says interesting things and adds to the conversation that's currently going on. That's how it feels impactful and interesting and engaging. And this book doesn't do that. There aren't moments where Carolina like is proving herself to her father, or even realizing that her father's approval is not a thing she needs. So she has no case at the end to make for why her father should listen to her that she wouldn't have at the beginning of the book. So it's not an arc. It just happened. And so it's very, I don't know, it's not really frustrating because it's too boring to be frustrating, but it would be frustrating if I cared. Let's put it like that. There's a big fight. They win. They're able to stab the vampire, but Lalo is now dying.
Oh no.
He's fading away.
They do like a little blood thing with their palms where they're like their blood touches. They're like, I'll always find you no matter where you are. And then he dies or whatever. And she's like, oh my God, I hope he comes back and finds me. And he goes to
no. And she's like, if you don't come back, I'll not follow you into the dead. Like, I'll come back and kick your ass and as a ghost, like kind of. It's like, isn't she so sassy?
That's all right. Whatever.
He goes to Aztec lands of the dead, where all the Fuentes have been hanging out because they've been trapped there, and they're like, you saved us. Okay, so you don't have to go to death, You can go back. And he's like, oh, I could be with my family. Not a thing he's ever really cared about in the book until this point, so it's not a real temptation. But he hears her in the background. And he's like, I gotta go back to her. And he meets her grandfather. And her grandfather's like, yeah, she's a trip. Say hi to her for me. And this moment could have been really impactful.
I read that, I was like, I wanted it to be an impactful moment. Like it felt like, oh, this is supposed to be sweet. This could be sweet. Like I'm like reaching for it, and then it's just like I'm like, oh, you missed it. Like,
exactly. I was like, oh, this is gonna be sweet, and it's like, no, because they didn't have a real relationship to begin with. He doesn't say anything. It's not even like I would have liked it if like Lalo had been like, sir, I want to ask for your granddaughter, your daughter's hand in marriage, and he said, yeah, like that would have been cute. Nothing. He's just like, yeah, okay. It's cool. It's a cool story, bro.
See you later. Thanks, champ. It's like, all right. And
like he gets back. They get back to the. No. They get back to the the Fuentes house. He has a conversation with his sister, a third one of the book, where it acts as though like she's mad and they care about each other, whatever. And then he like is in like a child's robe. And he's like, I gotta go find her now. And his sister's like, your butt is showing. And he's like, I don't care. Life is about taking risks now, and I've learned that. So he goes, and they make out.
And they're like, I love you forever, and we're gonna get married, and it's so sweet. Oh, and yeah, vampirism is cured. He's not a vampire anymore, guys. Congratulations, human again. Ugh, God.
Rafa is like, oh, sorry, I was kind of a douche.
Oh yeah,
bro.
sorry for being a dick. I hope you guys are happy.
And that's it. That's the book. That's the whole book. There's no stakes. The villain is terrible the whole time. There's no real arcs. There's no real tension. There's no real flirting of an interesting dynamic kind. And that's the thing, is like this book is not as bad as other books because it's not offensive. It's not offensive in the way The Savior's Champion is, where it's so bad and so many of Jenna's toxic ideologies seep into it. It's just that nothing is really good in this book.
Yeah, like I told you, like I thought I was gonna kind of defend this book because like on her website, like it's described as like a tropey insta love good time for fans of romantasy, and I'm like, okay, she is doing that. Like this is like she's like, it's not fun, but like she's doing the tropey insta love thing. She knows what she's doing. She's not trying to write like, you know, like a literature, but like it's just so boring and like not fun to read. The romance is not compelling. Like I've said it before, I will say it again. I will snort any like good romantic subplot off the wet tile of a Denny's bathroom, and I'll have fun. I love a good romantic subplot. Like I just want to watch people smooch, but there's no chemistry between these characters, and they're not fun to read about on page because like I just have such an issue with like the Jenna Moresi like school of writing thought, where like I, the author, am in good, like, you know, we write the structured plot, and then I, the author, am the hand of the characters. I move them through the plot, and it really hurts the character work. And like because if you do not like let yourself explore, if there's no curiosity for who these characters might be, or like oh, like you notice something like a dialogue in the book, you're like, why is my like maybe I should explore this because it's coming up naturally. No, we're rigid in the plot structure, and we're not exploring things that come up as they happen, and it just makes for characters that don't feel like real people. They are just paper dolls. They're flimsy.
That's exactly what it is. You're totally correct. There is no curiosity on the part of the author for the characters and why they are the way they are, or what they would do. It's just I'm moving my pieces across the board as I pre-planned, and like, they're gonna say how hot each other are. And
in like The Savior's Champion, like, which I hated way more than this book, there's an issue there where the same thing creates a real lack of empathy, I feel like, for the characters. So like, oh, this character is evil because they were evil in my like structured outline. And like when you read it on the page, it's like, oh, this author hates this character. And there's a staggering, like the lack of empathy, like pissed me off. This author, not so much. Like there wasn't like a cruelty about it. It was just like, just bland.
It's just middle schooler writing fanfic emulating Joss Whedon. And yeah, it is interesting actually as a counterpoint to the Savage Champion because you can tell that she was a fan of Marcy's and learned a lot of stuff from her. But again, there isn't the cruelty, as you said, there isn't the callousness, and there isn't just the low level toxicity. And it's also shorter, which helps.
Thank God.
I would also just like to say here at the end, you cannot replace Catholicism with Aztec gods. That's so inherently offensive on so many levels. Again,
so
Catholicism is a thing that like exploited and ravaged and killed and invaded and murdered so many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. You can't be like, well, maybe she has a rosary for Aztec gods. Like that's an insane.
Like doing like a sign of protection. I'm like, what are we doing? Like are we?
Yeah.
Because like Catholicism clearly is not. Well, it's not mentioned, so I can only assume it doesn't exist here. And you guys heard the plot summary. Why does this take place in California? It doesn't have to take place in California. What are we doing?
And it's even worse in certain ways because if you assume for a moment, okay, this is an alternate history, second world history where there isn't Catholicism or colonialism, then it's worse because you have a bunch of Europeans now cosplaying as in a world where these should be native peoples with native names. Like, so that's actually worse. Like, the more you think about this, the worse it gets. You really just have to assume, like, the most charitable interpretation is that the author is lazy and was trying and just knew that, like, it's a very Jenna Morrissey school of, like, representation. We're a new guard. Where without any real understanding of, like, how these things actually work in a literary sense.
But like at least like the one thing I'll give Jenna is that like it's not Greece, it's otherworld fantasy, like based on Greece. So she at the very least has the it's fantasy based on, I just pick and choose. But this author was like, no, this is in California. Like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is such a mistake that it is like this. Okay, that's the book. This ends our trilogy of bad Hispanic books, which
hopefully next time you'll read a good one.
My people fail me. It's just constant. There's very few second world Hispanic fantasies or even historical Hispanic fantasies because Hispanic people tend to write magical realism.
I can't wait to read Baptism of Fire next week and get great vampire rep. My boy Regis. Hell yeah.
Is that where he gets introduced?
Yes, he's such a good character. I can't wait.
That's the Witcher that we're reading, guys. Much better series. Okay, yeah, all right. Thank you all. Are there any good Hispanic fantasy or alt history worlds books that you can think of? I'm sure I'll be disappointed because that is my lot in life. But I will still try for mi familia, mi gente. Okay. Adios. Nosotros. I was going to say, I don't know how you would even say parasocial darlings in Spanish. All right. Thanks. We love you, our parasocial darlings.
Bye.